This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Mom and Pop Eateries. We've decided that we're going to take a look back and some of the great guests that we've had over the past year. It's been just about a year now that Mom and Pop Eateries has been going, and out of 36 episodes that I believe it's 36 that we've done, there is one guest in particular who has held the #1 spot for most views of the show, and who better to start this Mom and Pop Eateries revisit than the #1, the champion, Sherri Hagan from Norm's Restaurant in Hanover. Sherri, welcome back.
Thanks, Rob. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, it's great to have you back. I remember, I was thinking back to before we did that episode, and I asked you if you'd like to come on, and you were so nervous. You didn't think that you weren't sure about this TV thing and all of that, but you did a fantastic job. And when I asked you to come back, there was no hesitation. You definitely wanted to come back, so it must have been a positive experience.
Yes, it was. You definitely made it very easy, and who doesn't love a good train wreck? So I'm here to provide.
Fantastic. Okay, so now I did rewatch the episode, and for anybody out there, if you'd like to take a look at most of the episodes are loaded onto the YouTube, Rogers YouTube channel. If you just go to YouTube, type in Mom and Pop Eateries Grey Bruce, you can see just about all of the back episodes from the show. So, and that's where I went to watch. And I guess we were speaking. Now we're in April, about middle of April 2021, you and I spoke, I guess it was mid-August of last year. So at that time, you had the patios going, and I think the last thing we talked about in that show was how much you were going to miss those patios. So let's start there. And our patios going to be a part of the Hanover landscape this coming summer?
Yes, they are. So I did get confirmation from our town council that they are going to support us setting up our patios again this year, which is great. I know our patio did very well last year, and so we've actually added some improvements to this year's patio. We're going to have more tables. We bought new tents. So I was pretty disappointed when I heard patios were shut down in this last lockdown, but hopefully that's going to come back around and it's going to be allowed again before the good weather gets here. I think it's going to be very important for everyone out there to be able to do patios. I feel like we're going to have a lot of local traveling this year, right? And it's going to be locals traveling to local places, and hopefully they're going to see our patios and want to stop in and grab a bite to eat on their way to wherever they're heading.
And you're absolutely right. It, in some of my discussions with some of the restaurant owners, too, in particular, I spoke to are either members of their local chambers of commerce, or, in one case, a fellow in Port Elgin there from Restaurant Resina. He's actually the chair of the committee. But they both said that having all of those patios out on the streets and on the main streets was actually an attraction for people to stop, and it created business for the other businesses around, because people said, wow, look at this is great. Let's get out and take a walk around. So it really had a profound effect, not only for the restaurants, but really for the entire area where those patios were located.
Yeah, that's right, Rob. I agree. It definitely brings people into town. So when they're here, they're not just eating, right? They're going to our local attractions. They're stopping in at our local services. It's good for everybody. So yeah, we are looking forward to getting that set up again this year.
Fantastic. And you had a lot of great community support. If I remember correctly, there was a number of tents that were provided by local businesses. Whether they donated them or they made them available to you.
We sure did. They made them available to us at no cost, which was fantastic because, as you know, costs have been huge for COVID. So yeah, it was a lot of our local businesses, our local Canadian Tire, our local High Tech, our local Woodhouse Breweries, McLean's Ales, Country 93. We had some really great supporters that way. I ended up purchasing our own tents this year, and in hopes that those people are going to be able to use their tents, that there's going to be some beer festivals and some outdoor events that they will use their tents at. And also we have a local Eat Well market in Hanover. So Norms is going to be a vendor at that. So we got a tent to be down there and support the Eat Well market as well and showcase some of our stuff.
That's fantastic. And there's always lots going on in Hanover. House phone going off. This is real TV, right? This is how it's done at this time of the year. So luckily my wife was there to catch that. So, okay. So as I said, we ended off, it was pretty much at the end of the summer. Grey and Bruce counties did a fantastic job up until recently, and we'll talk about that later. A great job as far as the COVID numbers went, and you were in that green zone or the yellow zone for the longest of times. So pretty much, I would imagine if things stayed, minus the patios, things stayed pretty steady right up until Christmas.
Yes, they did. If you've ever been in Norms, you know that we're a small, comfy, cozy kind of diner. So we ended up putting barriers on the backs of all of our booths, which you can kind of see in the background right here, so that we could use more tables. And that was another game changer for us after our patios closed. So when we could only use like 6 tables without the barriers, we got the barriers put in, and we were able to use, I believe it's 10 we're up to now. It makes a huge difference. So then our fall wasn't too bad. I mean, we definitely had our struggles. People were not overly comfortable at coming from the patios indoors. So you did everything that you can to make it safe. We put extra protocols in place above and beyond the ones that were regulated to us. And yeah, the community was good. Like they came in and they supported us, and every time they're in, they're happy to see that we're still open. They're happy to support us. They're trying to do the best they can as well. So I mean, we're fortunate that way too.
Yes, absolutely. And, I hear the stories right across Grey Bruce counties, just how amazing the customers have been and the public have been in supporting the small businesses. It's very apparent that in some cases, the rules really don't seem to be, the rules that are being made really tilted in the favor of small business. It seems that the franchise and the big box people are, there's 2 sets of rules here. So, but people are smart and they understand that. And, people realize that a small place, and 73 years Norms has been a part of Hanover. So there's so many memories created in that place for so many people in so many age groups that it isn't just a small business. It isn't just a restaurant. It's part of the fabric of Hanover.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, and we're really trying to keep it all together. Where is I going to go with that? Oh, you touched on the different rules for different businesses. I have been busy lobbying our local MPs and MPPs and our health minister, who have been great to support us and reply about the different rules that, the corporations have compared to us small businesses, and how they don't even make sense, right? So I was glad to see in this lockdown, they made some of those changes, and they made some of the bigger places start to follow the same rules that we have to follow. That's probably all I should say about that.
you've been in the business a long time. I've been in it pretty much my entire life, and honestly, well, the gentleman I work for right now, he owns five different. He's got five different restaurants that he owns, and one's in Toronto, one's in Thornhill, another one in Pickering, and two in Aurelia, and and he can say honestly, he hasn't had one case, not one single case, staff or customers, where anybody has contracted COVID. In relation to his restaurant. So, and my point has always been all along, and I maintain this, that we are the most restricted or the most governed by the health unit as far as safety issues go. And that was way before COVID came along. And now we've had to step it up even further, but yet we seem to be the ones that are taking the brunt of these restrictions, and it isn't fair in my estimation.
No, that's right. Like when you come to a restaurant, you're wearing your mask until you get to your table. You're sanitizing your hands. Like we keep hand sanitizer at the table, so people don't even have to leave their table to sanitize their hands. Everything's touchless. Like nothing is on the table that hasn't been removed and sanitized before the next person uses that table. Like that isn't something that can happen in those larger settings. Like that doesn't happen in grocery stores. That doesn't happen in the Walmarts or the bigger box stores that are out there. So, I mean, we have the most restrictions, and I feel like at times we are one of the more safer places to be, yet we're the first ones to get closed. And, we're very fortunate too in that the whole last year we haven't had any COVID cases, any phone calls from public health. Knock on wood. I mean, you do everything you possibly can to keep it safe. And this washing hands things, it's not new. We should be doing it all the time. Staying home when you're sick, not new. We should be doing it all the time, right? You're just adding the extra things in. Nobody touches the salt shaker twice, right? Like you touch it, it gets sanitized, and then the next person gets it. Like it's, you're doing everything you possibly can, and then you get shut down. We're doing the contact tracing, and the big box stores are not doing the contact tracing. And quite frankly, they should be. They have the capability, their capacity is limited. Every place should be contact tracing, or no places should be contact tracing.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. And I'm just, from what I read about the current situation in Grey Bruce, that the lack of contact tracing could be responsible, or is partially responsible, for the situation there, for the announcement last night, where basically they, have asked entire Grey and Bruce counties to basically shut down for 48 hours.
Yeah, that's right. I think all in all the businesses are doing the best they can to put in all the extra protocols and follow all the regulations to make their business safe to be open. What we can't control are the things outside of business, like the gatherings. So I just think it's so unfair that we get punished for those instances. But in the same respect, I don't want people to get sick and die. Like you want everybody to be safe, and you want to do what is right and what is going to keep everyone safe, our staff, our customers, our community. So it's a fine line. Like I definitely see both sides of the story. They just need a little balancing out.
I agree, 100%. So, okay, so let's take a look. So basically, things were pretty much steady as she goes for Grey and Bruce counties right up till Christmas, and then they announced a lockdown, or shutdown, whatever you want to call it at that point. So that again changes the rules, but I know in the restaurant world that week between Christmas and New Year's traditionally is, especially for anywhere really in Ontario, I guess, because people are on holidays, etc. That week is normally very busy for restaurants, until the kids go back to school after the New Year.
Yeah, that's right. It is, and I did find a big change in December. And usually it's really busy the couple weeks leading up to Christmas because everybody's home and they're catching up and they're doing lunch, they're out shopping together, they go for lunch together, they go for dinner together. That's a very busy time for catering jobs for us as well, which of course were non-existent because events were not happening. Most catering's not happening because you can't do the buffet style. We did do some catering jobs with individually packed meals, and they weren't really, they're more for workplaces, right? Where they had large numbers of work people that they wanted to, at least feed for the season to, give back. But it had slowed down right up until Christmas, and we had made the decision to close between Christmas and New Year's because of that. And, if we're not going to be busy and people are not comfortable to come in, everybody might as well be home spending time with their families. So we decided to close. So it didn't affect us as badly. I really feel for those restaurants that were still busy and they were closed and they had all the stock. Like, the biggest thing is they close us down the day after we get our inventory in, and it's thousands of dollars. And then they say to us, well, go to takeout. Well, it's not that simple. Like, some of the stuff we order is not really made for takeout purposes, and it wouldn't be used in your takeout items. So there's all of those extra costs that the businesses endure during these lockdowns. Now, yeah, it's so hard. So then when we were locked down, which we kind of did see coming, so that was fine. And January and February typically are slower months, as you know, for our industry. So if we're going to be locked down, let's do it during the slow times and try to revamp some things. We spent those 8 weeks trying to come up with some ideas of what we're going to do when we open up. We knew we wanted to run our patio and make it bigger and better. We knew there was a community need and a push for pre-made meals. So we then looked at setting up a market where people could come in and pick up meals or order meals to take home rather than eat in the restaurant. Because again, we're still finding that lots of people that's not quite their comfort zone yet, but they don't want to cook. Because right, who wants to cook? Who wants to clean up the mess after cooking? So we spent our 8 weeks doing that, which kept us busy, and it has been very well received and is definitely been a game changer for us. And then especially with this next lockdown, right? Takeout does not cover, we're not set up to do the amount of takeout to cover the cost for our type of business. But with the market, it helps increase our sales to help increase the chance of covering our costs while still looking after our customers and still looking after our community and providing a service that, is wanted out there.
Right. And, I saw, I think you mentioned it the first time you were on the show, but I saw it in some of your posts, and you're absolutely right when you say that Norm's does a big breakfast business, but that isn't, in the place that I work at right now is big on the breakfast thing too, but, people just aren't really high on breakfast for takeout. They may be for a Western sandwich or a BLT or something like that, but as far as like your traditional bacon and eggs and things like that, people just weren't receptive or really wanting that. So you've done a great job in adapting and putting together what you were just talking about. So everybody's doing we're learning as we go, and a lot of these things very well, I think that they will stick around, like the pre-made meals and things like that. I think they will be around for a very long time in the restaurant industry.
I agree. I think they will. And especially like you look at the people that are working from home or the parents who are working and also now going to be schooling their kids, like who has time to make homemade healthy meals, right? And if that's one thing we can take off their plate, it hopefully relieves some of the stress in their house that they're already facing. Yeah, it seems to be it seems to be going well. It seems to be the people that are in picking up meals, the people that are, they're tired of cooking but they want homemade. They've got a lot going on in their life right now with other stressors related to COVID, and you don't want to add the stress of trying to think of what's for dinner, or do I have the ingredients to make it, or do I want to make it, and then do I want to do the dishes,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm hoping a lot of people are like me out there. They don't want to cook and they don't want to clean up.
Excuse me. Yeah, and it's there's certain things too that I'm sure the favorites that people have from Norms, and they couldn't duplicate what you're doing from there. So why try? Get it from a place that you really enjoy that meal. There's liver and onions. Some people just absolutely hate liver and onions. I like them, but I've always noticed, like with that one in particular, it's like there's two reasons. Number one, some people just don't know how to cook it properly, but they don't like the smell of it in their house. So they're going to let you do that from your restaurant, right? So, and I know that's actually a big seller in Grey and Bruce counties.
Yeah, you nailed it right there. There's some of the things you just don't have the time to make. You want to eat it. You don't want the smell in your house, and yeah, we're banking on that.
Okay, so you were touching on like the government. The government, I think we're listening pretty good to the industry in the beginning, but as you said at Christmas time, with it's like they turned a deaf ear to the realities of the restaurant business when it comes to when you get your deliveries, et cetera. Now, a big indicator for that. Well, the area I live in, we weren't as lucky as you folks to go from or to stay in green as long as you were. But we were at one point in, I think it was red, and we were allowed to have 10 people in the restaurant. So 6 o'clock on a Friday night, the government announces that Saturday morning, now you can have 50 people in your restaurant. Well, we only ordered based on having those 10 bums in the seat, basically, over that weekend. We're going to run out of food. But then, come Easter, as you said, because of Good Friday, our delivery on the Tuesday needed to get us through not only the week, it was a double order basically, but taking into consideration the Easter weekend. So I'll tell you straight out, I know my boss ordered $8,000 or $9,000 worth of food on that Tuesday. Then they announce, all right, after we had already received that delivery, that they were going to be shutting it down after Easter. What do I do? And as I may be parroting what you said earlier, but now I'm sitting there with $8,000 or $9,000 worth of product. It's almost like the government just stopped listening to what the restaurant industry had to say.
Absolutely agree, 100%. Same. Our food order always comes in on Wednesday mornings, and March, we had a fantastic March. I was leery about when they were letting us open back up. I wasn't sure, if it was the right time, if people were going to want to be out, but people do want to be out. They want to be out and getting back to doing the things they enjoy, like going to restaurants. And we were very fortunate to have a lot of community support, and people were in and we were busy. And we actually, for the first time in 14 months, covered our costs. So I was very, very optimistic about, where things were going. And then all of a sudden it felt so very out of the blue for me, probably because I had to stop watching the news and watching the numbers. I was diligently doing it the last time we talked, and it just, it is so stressful and it makes me angry. So I had to step back from that, and I just wait until when I know there's announcements that are going to change the way we have to do business. And I watch my emails for, any of the new regulations that come in that directly impact us. So when this Easter thing came, I was shocked and angry. And I mean, like I said before, I get it. The numbers were going up. Something needs to be done. We need to figure out how to keep people safe. But it also comes at a very large cost to my business. And everybody else's business. Well, maybe not everybody else's business, but a lot of businesses for sure. So you just, they need to see that side of it, and there needs to be more done. I'm not exactly sure what they can do to fix that. They probably don't want to hear from me what I think they can do to fix that, but like, it's just, it's a rock and a hard place. What do? You want to keep people safe, you want to do the right thing, but yet we also have families to feed and people to look after, and
that's there's a bit of a rebellion going on right now. Some of the stories aren't, being hugely told, but I'll just step back for a second. I do get into a lot of conversations with restaurant owners due to the Mom and Pop Eateries page on Facebook, and I've gotten to know a lot of people like yourself very well, and very happy to do it. But with the Easter weekend, because of the numbers in Grey County, the one restaurant, I won't say it is, but one restaurant in particular, not only did he order all of that food for, leading into the Easter weekend, but he had a wedding catering job to do on the Saturday. Right then, all of a sudden, now he's stuck with all of that food because those people can have only so many people, at this wedding. Like, the wedding still happened, but a reduction in numbers, huge, right? So, and another friend of mine, he works for the beer store, but he goes around and he installs the draft systems and things like that into restaurants. And he said so many of his customers, because they thought they could be open, they ordered those, 2 kegs of beer. Now those 2 kegs of beer are gone bad and they're not getting their money back, So, so many stories out there so many stories of the government just not listening to the industry anymore.
Yeah, I agree. You just got to remember that you got to look at both sides of the story, right? For everything that happens, there's more than one repercussion to it, and you gotta look at both sides. And some people are just being so judgmental about things, but if you sit back and you listen, and I know sometimes I'll get questioned about why we did certain things, or why I feel this way, like the whole, like, why don't you just switch to takeout? And I'm like, well, let me explain it to you. We have several takeout places in Hanover where you don't get out of your car to do takeout. We're not set up for takeout. Our kitchen would have to be totally revamped, and the front would need to be revamped in order to do the amount of production to make it cover costs, or even, make it profitable. And then then when you explain that to them, then they're like, oh, okay. Then they start to understand it. And everybody just needs to take a minute, think about both sides, and have a little understanding for how it may affect people.
That's right. Okay, Sherri, thank you so much for coming back again and doing this. It's a pleasure to see you, and I do promise I am definitely going to make a stop into Norm's once things are better. I'm really trying hard to. I love Grey and Bruce counties. I miss my home. I really want to come back and visit friends and family. So, but when I do, I'm going to make sure I take a trip down to Hanover to see you. All right, Sherri Hagan, owner of Norm's Restaurant in Hanover. All the best to you this coming year. Things are going to get better. We've got the vaccines coming, and your patio's opening up, and you keep that smile on your face.
Thanks again for having me, Rob. And yes, everything will be fine. It will work out. Things are going to get better. There's brighter days ahead. We just have to put in the work to get there, and we will.
Absolutely. All right, Sherri, you take care. Thanks very much.
Thanks, you too.
For producer Mark Perry and Darlene Benwick, I'm Rob Leonard. We'll see you.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.
This is for Canada.
This is for me.
The sky's the limit.
Dream it, do it.
This is no game.
This is my life.
Nothing